All right, are we live? We are live, everyone. Welcome to the ARCA Racing Podcast. I'm your host, Colby Evans, aka Starting Park Car here, and we are here today talking about the East Series division. Yes, we're not here to talk about the Main or the West division. The East Series season is finally here, and we actually have some good news to talk about with the East Series. Normally the East Series is not the most popular of the ARCA Menard Series divisions, but this year it looks like that is changing. A lot of exciting stuff to talk about. New teams, new drivers, and most importantly, bigger car counts. So we're going to discuss all that today. I'm also going to go over some recent ARCA news that if you guys followed me on Twitter, I shared there as well. And we'll talk about where that plans and where that is going to go as well. So all this and so much more on today's channel, guys. We're going to go through my little intro at the beginning of every podcast that I do, and we will jump right into the action of Pensacola. So you guys know the drill. Follow me on social media, Starting Parker on Twitter for all ARCA news, notes, and updates. We are so close to 6,500 followers, so if you like what you see here on the podcast, go give me a follow over there. And if you like what you see here, like and subscribe to the channel. We are very also close to 2,500 subscribers. We are less than 100 subscribers away now from 2,500 subscribers. So if you like what you see here, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Super chats are open if you'd like to support the show financially. You don't have to, but it's a welcome support to the show as well. And check out the Racing Experts for all NASCAR media related content, the official media partner of this podcast. Man, I got to find a way to get that intro smaller, but I have to get all it in. But anyway, Pensacola, the East Series. For the people who have long time watched this program, or my podcast, I should say, they know I've been fairly critical on the East Series. I haven't been afraid to share my thoughts about this series, of it being the weakest of the three series in terms of car counts, in terms of competition. Really ever since the series was created in 2020. When the ARCA and Can-Am merger happened and the East Series was officially rebranded under the ARCA banner, and COVID didn't help that. COVID didn't help that. 2020 was a real struggle. They only had 6 races that year. 2021 was really not much better. 2022, it's just like as the years went on, whereas the main series, in ARCA continued to grow with its car counts, and even the West Series continued to grow with its car counts, even though they've been kind of struggling this year. The East Series, it's like it just could never grow. They always struggled for car counts. Half the field would normally be cars that would either be starting parking or had no shot of being anywhere near competitive. And it was just like a reoccurring gag, almost in an annoying TV show about how, with all due respect to the series, how bad the car counts would be. And, the Pensacola car counts were no different. I'm looking at the car counts right here, and this is for the Pensacola ARCA East races. 2020, for instance, 2020 had 19, 2021 had 13, 2022 had 15, 2023 had 15, and 2024 had 16. That's not very good at all. So it was a big shock to me to look on this year's entry list to find not only are we higher than that, we're actually in the 20s. I can't remember the last time we had this many cars for a standalone E-Series race. 23 cars. That is really good. Like, to really put into perspective, I don't think we have had a field that big for an E-Series standalone event since the merger. I could be wrong on that. Maybe the first race in 2020 at New Smyrna. That race may have had a bigger field, but this is easily one of the top 3, top 5 highest E-Series car counts since the merger happened in 2019, for sure. I mean, it has to be. Absolutely has to be. So, that is absolutely the best number 1 right there. And we're going to go over the entry list in just a quick second. Just trying to pull it up here real quick. If you guys see me looking to the side, that means I'm looking at my laptop. I'm obviously got my laptop here with all of my notes. And I'm just trying to pull it up. Okay, here we go. I got it now. All right, so the entry list for the Pensacola 150 is as follows. We're gonna do what I normally do and just read from top to bottom all the way down. So we're gonna start off with the number 4 of Carson Brown. This is for the Chris Hedinger operation. The Hedinger team combination with Bruce Cook. Carson Brown, I guess he's a short track driver. He's done some Trans Am stuff. I've personally never heard of him, but it's always great to see new drivers into the series, and good to see the Hedinger Racing team in the series. We got Cody Dennison, obviously a longtime driver now in the East Series. Feels like he's been here forever. I guess he's only been here a year, but it's good to see him in the East Series back again. Not sure if he's running for the championship or if this is just a one-off. Mike Basham is in the 10. Great to see old Mike Basham back. Unfortunately, it appears Ed Pompa is under the weather, so he is not going to make it this weekend. But great to see Mike behind the wheel. Zachary Tinkle is back in the 11 for the East Series Championship once again. Unfortunately, they crashed a car in testing. If you guys haven't heard, apparently Tinkle will be driving a different car. So that's unfortunate that Zachary crashed in testing. He'll be driving a different car this weekend. Nonetheless, he'll still be driving, but he won't be driving the car he was supposed to. Takuma Koga, he'll be one of the full-time drivers in the East Series. He's making the transition from the East Series, from the West Series to the East Series, and also announced today that Takuma will be doing some Xfinity races for the Joey Gase team. He'll be running Dover and Portland, so good for Takuma. If you guys ever meet Takuma Koga, trust me, for anyone who hasn't been to an East race, Takuma's a cool character. He really is. He's a really cool guy. Sometimes it's hard to hold a conversation with him because when I talk to Takuma at the track, I have to talk to his translator, who then talks to him, who then talks to his translator, who then talks to me. So it can be a little hard sometimes to hold a conversation with him, but I love Takuma. He's a really cool dude. So it's great to have him in the series. Max Reeves, I believe this is going to be his debut for JGR. He is the brand new ARCA driver for the JGR team. Now note, he is not running. He is not running. I'm telling you, oh God, Cody Dennison's in the chat and he's giving me crap. Cody, I'm sorry. Yes, we know Cody. Cody Dennison is making his NASCAR debut, driving for Rayom Brothers Racing at Martinsville. I'm sorry, Cody. I should not have glossed over that. Cody Dennison, driver of the 9 cars in the chat, everyone. I'm sorry, Cody. But yeah, back to Max Reeves. He's the new driver for the JGR ARCA team, bringing the Cookout sponsorship. And if you want to feel old, I mean, I'm only 23 years old, but if y'all want to feel old, we have our very first ARCA driver born in the 2010s. Wow. I tell you, I feel old. And I'm 23, and I feel old because we have an ARCA driver who was born in 2010. Like, come on. Oh, I tell you. And I feel old, but, you know, helps to have that cookout money, I guess. But, yeah, interesting to see how Max Reeves does. Now, note, he is not running for the full ARCA East Championship. He's only running part-time. I believe he's only running maybe 4 or 5 of the East Series races and then some other main division races. We got Tyler Reif in the 23 Sigma car for the Joe Ferree operation. That'll be for the championship. And here's an interesting entry that a lot of us did not expect, the Pinnacle Motorsports entry, or Pinnacle Racing Group entry. For some reason, as Pinnacle Motorsports listed as the sponsor, even though the team is called Pinnacle Racing Group. But yeah, Connor Mosek's on the entry list. I honestly did not see that coming. I figured, Pinnacle would want to focus themselves on the main ARCA championship with Butterbean. But no, it's good to see him here. And I would have to assume if they're running this race that the 28 might be full-time East as well for the Owners' Championship. Because remember, 4 races are standalones, and then the other 4 races are combo. So, and I would have to assume the 28 will be at Rockingham, so I wouldn't be too much of a shock if the 28 shows up to the other 2 standalones just to run out the full championship run. Rita Goulet back in the 31 once again for a championship run. Austin Vaughn, new team, number 34. He ran the dirt race last year, I believe, at, God, I think it was DuQuoin. I think he ran the dirt race at DuQuoin last year. So, good to see him again. I'm not sure if that's a full-time entry or not, but I believe they were running a blue car. I think a blue and green car, but good to see Austin. D.L. Wilson is back again, driving for Caleb Costner, number 39, full-time. Andrew Patterson, you might remember him. He drove for the Man Motorsports operation last year, and he's going it on his own, with his own operation, Andrew Patterson Racing or Motorsports, whatever the name is. Yeah, the number 40. Good old Brad Smith. Good to see him back in the 48. I would have to guess that Brad's going to use this race to get some more laps on his, I want to say newer car, but it really isn't a newer car. I mean, for anyone who doesn't know on the podcast, Brad Smith got a new car, or a newer car, I should say. It is actually an old Andy Petrie car, so key word is newer. It's new to Brad, but it's not necessarily a newer car. And Timmy Hill, yes, you heard me right, guys. Timmy Hill, he is not full-time in trucks anymore, and he is doing the full ARCA East tenure. And boy, I never thought I'd ever see Timmy Hill in an ARCA car. That's awesome. And yeah, he's only doing with a couple of guys that he's got at the shop. I'm so excited to see how he does. You know, he's held back by, you know, the equipment, because he can only put in so much money. If he had the money to run up, to be able to spend like the top guys, you know, he'd be up front every week in the trucks. So, you know, maybe moving down to ARCA, I'm excited to see what speed he's going to have this weekend, and I know he's excited too. But don't count out Timmy for this East Championship, I'll tell you that. Trust me, I think he'll definitely be an underdog for the championship, and an underdog for a lot of these wins too. Another entry that a lot of us, including myself, did not see coming was Cole Raz. Now, there's still no clarification on exactly what the 76 car is going to be doing this year for the ARCA Series. No clarification if Cole is running the full main series, and no clarification if he's running the full East Series. Now, he is old enough to run all the races. He did run a Daytona, so he is old enough if he wants to. But nonetheless, great to see another competitive car. Another competitive car in the field. But yeah, definitely a surprising entry. Did not expect to see the AM operation there. We have the number 79 of Isaac Kitzmiller, who you guys might know is the son of Jason Kitzmiller. Isaac has been running in the Bob Schatz Grand National Super Series for the last year or two, and will now contest the entire E-Series tenure. So that includes these 4 standalones, and then will run alongside his father, Jason Kitzmiller, in the 4 combo races. So that'll be kind of cool. But yeah, again, another full-time driver in the series. That's what we need. That's what we need, more competition. And another competitive car as well. We got City Garage Motorsports and Beck Monopoly. The 93 of London McKenzie. Great to see him in the series. I wonder if that's the car that got stolen by Roger Carter. It might have been, because I think it was an old Kimmel car. Then it got stolen. Then it got found in a cornfield. If that's the same car that got stolen in a cornfield, that is awesome. That's why I love this series so much. Only in ARCA will you see a car that got lost in a cornfield be entered in a race. Love that. Hunter Wright, Man Motorsports with actually 2 entries. 95 of Hunter Wright and the 96 of Jackson McLaren. The 00 of Corey Aiken. The 01 of EJ Tomeo. And then the 06 of C.W. Lemoyne, I believe is how you pronounce his name. Now, Corey Aiken, they did run the Daytona test, but did not enter Daytona, likely due to the big car counts. That is a teammate, I believe, to the Vaughn operation, the 34. Yeah, Austin Vaughn. I believe that is a teammate to that team, judging by the car owner and sponsor. EJ Tomeo, you guys might remember him. He ran the 45 last year at Elko, of the Tomeo operation. And then C.W. Lemoyne, I really hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly, because this guy is a legend. This guy is a legend. I want to talk about CW for a second. This guy is a beast. All right, this guy is an American author. He's written 12 books, 9 of which are part of the Spectra series. He was awarded the Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal for his services in the reserves, and his service spans a period of 15 years in the U.S. Air Force and the U.S. Navy Reserves, which also includes a deployment to Iraq in 2009. This guy is an absolute beast. Absolute beast. But yeah, he's given several medals. Like I said, author, pilot. I mean, this guy is a definition of badass. You want to put badass in the dictionary, this CW guy is in that definition. And he's driving for a guy who also fought in the war. So you talk about the perfect partnership. You got a guy who was in the reserves, and then you got his car owner fought in the war. So it's like, what, you couldn't ask for a better partnership right there. So, and people asking about Cletus in the chat, Cletus's next race will be Talladega in the main series. Although I will say, he could have ran this race because it's in Florida. And this track is not a terrible distance from the Freedom Factory, so I guess if Cletus wanted to do it, he could have. Probably would rather ran a Crown Vic around this track. God. Oh, that's awesome, though. But yeah, 23 cars. Sorry, get off track there for a second. But yeah, 23 cars, man. And that's just such a bright sight to see, because like I said, I know we talked about it, but to put into perspective, 23 cars for this race, whereas last year's race we had 16, and that included 2 starting parks. So we only had 14 cars running the whole race last year. And man, it just wasn't good. You know, I try to be as positive as I can on some of these podcasts, but it just was no good. You know, the 18 and the 20 provided a decent battle, but it just was still no good. This year, though, man, I mean, you got a lot of contenders for this year's win, man. You got the 18, of course, the 23, the 28. I'll even throw in the 76, the 79. You got to throw in Timmy Hill. You don't know what he's got under that hood in terms of competitiveness. You know, you got to throw in the Noble cars because, you know, they might not have winning speed, but they still got good speed nonetheless. You know, this race is a lot more wide open than your average East Series race for sure. In terms of starting parks of our 23-car field, none of the Andy Hillenberg cars are parking, so that's good to see. As far as I can tell, looking at this entry list, my guess is that the only starting park in the field that we're probably going to have is the 48 of Brad Smith. Unless Brad wants to run the whole race, he usually doesn't for an East race, but if he really wants to get the test on this new car, then he might actually run the whole race. But the way it's looking right now on this entry list is that we might only have one starting park on there, and that in itself is a huge bonus for the series. Not only having 23 cars, but actually having pretty much all of those cars running the whole distance. Because just having more bodies on the racetrack is such a huge bonus. Like, it's really bad when there's only 12, 13 cars out there on the track where, you know, even if it's only a track like, you know, Five Flags, which is just a half-mile track, 14 cars, and like 3 or 4 of them that are, you know, off the pace can look bad. You know, so having more bodies on track, more competitive bodies on track is such a huge bonus for the series, and it's got to be a big confidence booster. It's a big confidence booster for the series too. It's got to be a big confidence booster for the teams, you know, who are used to the 14 or 15 car fields. They're like, now here we go. Now we've got some competition. We've got some real rivals on track. You know, it makes everybody more excited and more aggressive, and that's what we like to see. That is actually what we like to see. And yes, that is true in the chat. CW Lemoyne is also a YouTuber as well, so as well as Cody Dennison and Cletus McFarland. He is also a YouTuber. So if you want to go check out his channel, I strongly recommend you guys, after this podcast, of course, you guys go check out and subscribe to his channel because it's pretty insightful. I mean, like I said, this guy is the real deal. He is the real deal in terms of military and the reserves. And he's a guy I would not want to get into a fight with because this guy probably looks like he could kill me. I don't know. I've got family in the reserves and in the military, so obviously I have massive respect for anybody who's in there. And yeah, they could probably kill me. Like I said, and massive respect to anybody who is in the reserves and the military and all of that, all those branches. But yeah, it's just a big confidence booster for everybody having those bigger fields. And it's just such an improvement when you think, like I said, back to 2021 for this event in 2021 when we had 13 cars. And in that race, we had 2 starting parks. So you had 11 cars running the whole race back in 2021. And here we are 4 years later where, I mean, heck, I didn't even think this series would exist in 2025. And here we are with a 23-car field. Now, does that mean we're going to get a 23-car field for every race this season? Because the 2025 ARCA Menard Series East season, we go to Pensacola. I believe it's Pensacola, Rockingham. I want to say Rockingham is next. And then Nashville and then Flat Rock. I want to make sure I'm getting this right. Hang on, I'm pulling up the schedule. I just want to make sure I get my order correct. 2025 schedule. Hang on, guys, just 1 second. Yeah, here we go. All right, Pensacola, Rockingham, Nashville. Okay, I had it right. So Pensacola, Rockingham, Nashville, Flat Rock, Dover, IRP, Iowa, and then Bristol. Okay, so that's your East Series season. I don't blame you in the chat, Brian. It is a little confusing having the same series name in 3 different divisions. It can be a little confusing. But yeah, the 4 standalones. Our first one is Pensacola. Then you got Rockingham, Nashville, and then we end that with Flat Rock. And then Dover is the start of our combo races. All right, so yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, will we have a bigger car count at Rockingham? Probably. In my personal opinion, I think we'll have closer to 30 cars at Rockingham. Just because I know that there's a lot of main series teams that will be at that race. Like, for instance, Venturini Motorsports, who is not here at this event, they will be at Rockingham. They've already confirmed that they will have a couple of entries there. There are some other main series division operations that will be there as well. We could potentially... And it's not confirmed, but we could potentially see like the Nitro team there. Andy Hillenberg could bring another car potentially. You know, Brad will be there. Dale Scheer could be there. You know, just some other potential cars, obviously. Flat Rock might be the only race where we probably won't get a big car count, potentially. Flat Rock can't even fit that many cars in general. It's such a small track. But... hopefully we'll finally be able to get more of an entertaining Flat Rock race this year. That's for sure. But the entry blank looks like this. Obviously the Pensacola 150. This race is only on Flow Racing. This is not going to be broadcasted on regular television like the primary ARCA races are. So if you will need Flow Racing for this event. Live Saturday, March 23rd, 7:30 p.m. Central Time, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. 150 laps, of course. This race used to be 200, but they actually shortened it down to 150. Prize money total for all contingency awards, $11,950 for first, $5,025 for second, $4,600 for third. We could talk about the payouts on this channel, but it's beating a dead horse at this point, so there's no point in even talking about it. We all know that they suck, but what's worth ranting about it for a 4th year in a row? I think there is a race break. Yes, there is going to be your standard race break at or near the conclusion of lap 75. So that'll be the big opportunity for these teams to make adjustments. Obviously, if a caution comes out during the race, they can come down and make adjustments. They just can't add fuel. I don't think they can add fuel, or I don't think they can add tires either unless it's approved by the series. Now again, there is no. This is the debut race, so we don't have a championship points situation to talk about. Going into this, obviously the full-time drivers that we know are announced right now for the 2025 East Division are Takuma Koga for Andy Hillenberg. I believe Zachary Tinkle as well for Andy Hillenberg. Timmy Hill in the 56. Rita Goulet in the 31. London McKenzie in the 93. D.L. Wilson in the 39. Brad Smith in the 48. Isaac Kitzmiller in the 79. And Tyler Reif in the 23. Now, Brad's going full-time. If I'm correct, I believe he's going full-time for the bonus money. The owner's point bonus money at the end of the year. Realistically, now, like I said, the 18 is not doing. Max is actually only doing 3. He's only doing 3 of the 8 races, which that shocks me. That really does shock me that Max is not running for the championship, because that's usually what the 18 team does. But they are going after the owner's championship, and, in ARCA, the real money is the owner's championship, not necessarily the driver's championship. But, in terms of your championship, I would say it's pretty close. I would honestly say that your top 3 favorites right now for the championship would be Isaac Kitzmiller, Tyler Reif, and Timmy Hill. If you want my personal opinion, those are probably your third best. If you want a 4th place underdog championship title contender, I'll throw in Zachary Tinkle. Mainly because Zachary is he's been in these cars for a long time, and I know the Andy Hillenberg equipment can't quite compare to, the budgets of the Sigma team and the Kitzmiller operation, but where Andy's really good is the short tracks. So, I wouldn't count out Tinkle. Takuma, I hope Takuma does well, but I don't think he'll be a championship contender. I want him to learn the tracks, have a good time, and get some extra experience. But I don't think he'll be a championship contender. Rita, we know Rita has struggled the last couple years. Hopefully she can just, get a little bit quicker on track, and improve her racecraft. D.L. Wilson, I hope DL does well as well. Sorry, I'm getting my words jumbled up here. DL, London McKenzie, just a rookie. I think, coming into this as a rookie with a team, his own operation, his own car, the uncertainty is there, so I don't know how to judge him. D.L. Wilson, again, he didn't really do all that well last year. He did okay. He was just kind of there. Wasn't really competitive, but he didn't do bad. He was just kind of there. But I would definitely say that your favorite, your top 3 favorites for the championship in the East Series right now are Isaac Kitzmiller, Tyler Reif, and Timmy Hill, with your dark horse being Zachary Tinkle. And obviously we got a lot of part-time cars. Like I said, the cars that'll be running the combo races, for sure. But yeah, at least that's my honest guess as to who your championship favorites are going to be. You guys can put yours in the chat, but I would say that's probably where it's going to come from. Let's see here, what else? In terms of the race this weekend, though, Colraz, I would say your winners will probably come from, like I said, the 76, 56 a dark horse, 79 is a dark horse, I will say, just because of the equipment that he's also competing against. 23, the 18, I'll even throw in the 11 and the 9 as underdogs. But, let's see here. For an honest pre-race pick, I'm actually going to go with Connor Mosack. I am not, God. I'm not going to pick the 18. I'm actually going to go with Connor Mosack as the winner for this weekend's race, just because of his experience. And the Pinnacle Racing team really knows how to set up a good car. I think the 18 will be hurt by just Max's first time. Now, he's been at 5 flags before in a late model, but he hasn't been there in an ARCA car. 2 completely different cars. So I think his inexperience will hurt him in this race, and I think Connor Mosack will get the W. Now, for an underdog, I'm actually going to go with 2 underdogs for this race. I'll go with Timmy Hill, let's see here. I'll go Timmy Hill and Isaac Kitzmiller as my underdog picks for this race. And I think the sleeper pick will go with Zachary Tinkle, because you just never know what's going to happen, obviously. But, yeah, that's your list for Five Flags Speedway or Pensacola, whatever you want to call it. People call it both names. But, again, very solid field. Very solid field of cars compared to the main division. It does get me excited that there is this much interest in the series overall, because we haven't seen it the last couple years, but it just seems like there's been a slight uptick in the interest in ARCA. Even if the payouts aren't there, it's just, I guess, the exposure. That's what a lot of people tell me, is that the exposure. I have been told that, seriously. I have been told that by a couple of people in the garage, that they do get more exposure driving an ARCA than they do in late models. Maybe not the Cars Tour, but in, local late model stuff. That there is just a little bit more exposure, obviously. So, the Daytona ratings, 1.16 million. Wow. I don't know if I said that or not. That's pretty impressive. But, oh, yeah, before we go here, I did want to share something. It's right here. Now, I can't flash it too close on the screen. I'm going to cover this up, though, with my fingers so you guys can't see the number. But I got this. Now, I'm covering up the number, obviously, so you guys can't see it. But that right there was my license. Right there was my license. Yes, we are licensed to drive this season, so I'm very happy with that. Along with competing in NASCAR Classics, HSR's NASCAR Classic Vintage Racing Division. I will be competing part-time this season in the ARCA Menard Series. As of right now, I'm shooting for Iowa, obviously, because it's my home track. But I would like to run, if I could, sponsorship and money is there. I would like to run tracks like Elko and Iowa, and Toledo, obviously. But obviously it just depends on all money and funding. So I would really just, if I could run just one race, obviously I'm putting a lot of focus into the vintage car. So if I could just one race, it would be Iowa. Absolutely. Just because it's my home track, my family would be there. And, for the people who, followed me for a long time, I have worked with Brad Smith. I have worked with Timmy Hill. And man, it'd be so much fun to race against them. It would be so much fun to race against them. I've worked with a lot of people in the field. I mean, I've worked, I was pit crew on Cody Dennison's car at IRP last year, so if he's driving Iowa ARCA, it'd be fun to race against him too. I worked for Zachary Tinkle when he was at Peterson, so it'd just be so much fun to race against all these guys who I've worked for as a crew member, and be able to compete with the other people that are in the ARCA Menard series. So we'll see how that works. I'll update you guys on that as the weeks and months go by. But yeah, big things planning for this season with, Colby Evans Racing on the vintage car side and wherever I end up on the ARCA side. So I just thank you guys again for your continued support. And for any sponsors are watching, reach out to me at ce28928@gmail.com or simply DM me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I'm on all the platforms. So if any sponsors see this and you want to get a hold of me, that's how you can. And to everyone else watching, enjoy the ARCA Menard Series East debut this weekend. I'm excited to see how it'll go, and hopefully we have positive things to talk about on next Tuesday's podcast. So, oh boy, that was a fun show. So to everyone who joined in tonight, thank you very much. I hope you guys have a great rest of your Thursday and a great weekend in general. I'm Colby Evans. I give you all the goodbye salute, And we will see you all next week on the ARCA Racing Podcast. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Goodbye.